Howdy, partner. Today we're going to replace this entire pool pump and motor and walk you through step by step how to do this job so you too can complete a pool pump swap out. The pump that we're using today was supplied by our friends at Aquastrong, and it's a really nice 3 horsepower variable speed pump. So it promises energy efficiency as well as great functionality. What we have here is our old pump that stopped working, and we're gonna have to figure out how to replace this. Now, what you're gonna have is a different setup of pipes, and you're gonna have to measure your pipes and see they're probably gonna be 1.5 or 2 inch. These are 2 inch, and you're also gonna have some power running to it. So we'll show you what to do and how to get everything started. But the first step is going to be to go over to your circuit panel and turn off all your breakers. Make sure you have no power running to your unit, and you'll double check that later. Once you've done that, you want to figure out where you're going to do your first cuts. So if you come in closely here, you'll see we're going to need to cut this pipe right here. But what we have is you want to see how much room you have to attach more piping. So we probably have enough here for 1 or 2 more connections. We're going to cut it with a hacksaw really close so that we can save and use this piece here. If this was shorter and this was butted up, we'd have to cut here and here underneath these 2 other pipes in order to salvage this Jandy valve. Now up here you can see this has been patched at least twice, and we're going to cut right here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on a hand tightened, and you can tighten it with a wrench, but a union, so that union will allow us to service this easier in the future. A lot of new pool builders are putting on unions, and that way you don't have to cut it and keep running out of connections, because sooner or later you're going to have to do a huge rebuild. So let's get started turning off that power, and then we'll show you how the wiring goes, and we'll get it disconnected, and then we'll go ahead and cut these pipes and get moving. Once we cut the pipes, we're going to install the new pump and motor here. We'll talk about it and tell you some of the features, but we'll show you how to get it fitted just right for your setup. Stay tuned. So once you've exposed your old wires, these are 220 volts, so they're packing a punch. You really want to double check and to make sure that you've got no power running through. This is a non-contact voltometer to see. So there's no power here. We've turned off the breakers. If you're not comfortable with this, please hire an electrician, because I don't want anyone to get hurt. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and take your screwdriver and just loosen up and disconnect all the power connections so we can get them ready to hook up to the new Aqua Strong pump. With the wires all disconnected, it's time to start cutting those pipes. Now the easiest way to cut these pipes is to use one of these ratcheting pipe cutters, but that's going to be hard down here. So for this top portion, you can go ahead and set up your ratcheting cutter, and then you can ratchet and cut it. Make sure the pressure has been relieved from the system so you don't have a big water mess. You may have a little bit of drips out, but it shouldn't be pressurized. There we go. For this one, we want to cut right along as close as we can to save as much pipe as we can. So we're going to use a hacksaw, and we're just going to cut slowly and controlled. Super easy. Now the pipe, or the pump rather, is completely disconnected. So we'll get it out of the way, and then we'll start getting the new one set in to see how to hook up the pipes. With the pump removed, we're going to take this plastic stand and remove these 2 bolts to try to see if this will fit the new pump, because that'll help it to be right at the right height. So we'll take that off and see if we can reuse it. We're also going to just, with our hands, unscrew this top section of pipe that was in here, and we can hopefully use this to reset up the new pipe depending on how it fits in terms of the height and distance. So we'll unscrew that, we'll clean off the Teflon tape that's on there. This one's going to be shot, but we're going to go ahead and try to reuse this top section. Our friends at Aquastrong sent us this brand new variable speed 3 horsepower pump, and I'm super excited to get this installed. So just out of the box, everything seems really thick and well made. It's got a giant basket here, which I'm really excited about. And it's also got a programmable timer. So the reason why variable speed pumps are nice is because they have an enclosed motor, which will last a long time, but also they use less power because you can run them at 4 different speed settings on this particular pump. So you don't have to use 100% power all the time, just so long as you still circulate all of your pool's volume each day. It also comes with both 2 and 2.5 inch connections, as well as a number of O-rings, extra O-rings. We've got Teflon tape, electrical tape, connectors, instructions, everything. And then this will come over here and cover this up. And it comes with a 5-foot cord, which is really nice. Maybe you can actually reach your power connection from where you are. We're going to end up putting this in our junction box, but it's still nice to have that ability. So overall, this is really heavy duty feeling pump, and all the statistics on it and all the specifications seem like it's going to be really good. It has a 24-month warranty, which is really nice in this industry, and I can't wait to get this installed and show you how it works. So let's continue this install of the Aquastrong pump. All right, we've got the new pump set where it needs to go, and as you can see, it is not going to fit up with the existing pipes. We'd be too lucky to have that happen. So it's really low, and then we also got to look at the top pipe. Now, you've got basically 3 options for what you're going to do here. Number 1 would be to reuse that stand from the other pump. I checked that out, and unfortunately, this stand does not fit this pump, so that option doesn't work. Option 2 would be to take a couple pieces of pipe, probably like 22 degrees, and you can put them together, some connections, invert them, and use it to raise or lower your pipe. Now that does work. However, in this one, you know, it's still going to be a little bit too high, and I don't love that option if I can avoid it. So the last option you have is to find a different way to raise that up, but give it a sturdy platform. So we're going to take 2 of these landscape 12 by 12s, and I may end up using 4 just to give it a nice level platform. We're going to put these down. And as you see with these 2, we're at a pretty good height. So let's see if we pull this forward a little bit. Perfect. We're sliding right onto the pipe. So now what we need to do is figure out, can we reuse the top section? So I cut off this threaded end because we didn't need that. And now we're going to check and see how it fits. And we're pretty close. We're a little bit low. So we're probably going to need to do some adjustments to this as well. But we're going to take a quick break, try to get this all set up, and then we will reconnect once we're ready to finish this piping. Stay tuned. So just trying to dry fit everything together, I put on these unions, which you could do without the unions, and you could just do standard coupling, but I really would like to be able to install them. So I'm looking at how it goes, and the alignment is pretty good. However, we're now a little bit shallow on this depth. That needs to go back just a couple inches. So what I think we're going to do is I think we're going to measure it out and then turn. This pipe is at a 45 right here. We're going to turn out another 45, have it go back and then down. So let me get those measured out and cut and see how that goes. Okay, so we finally gotten it all pieced together. Now, a couple recommendations. When you are going to do this project, go to a hardware store and buy a bunch of different fittings. You can return these as long as you don't use them, and it makes it easier than doing 100 different trips. So we've gotten it here. You don't want to have too many turns and bends, but we're at a good flow ratio here. And then what we've done is we've installed these couplings. And what's really nice about these is that they're just going to be hand tightened on, and we'll talk about how to tighten on with a wrench, but it's going to allow you to disconnect. So next time, if you ever need to replace a motor again, you can just go ahead and disconnect it easily and not have to redo all the plumbing. Also, if just a little trick, there's a male side and a female side to these couplings. So if you put one male, one female, and you have to replace it, you only have to buy one, not 2. So make sure to reverse those 2 on where you hook them up. Okay, so when you do this dry fitting, you're always going to get a little more depth when you go ahead and fit it with the glue and the primer, because it tends to slide a little better. So you might want to give yourself a little bit of extra wiggle room. But we're going to go ahead and get to gluing in just a minute. A couple other things to remember. We have these O-rings that are going to go inside on this black piece here. It comes with the Aquastrong pump. So we'll put those in, and then we'll also lube them with this lube tube. I like to use it on all my pool stuff because it helps to keep a nice good seal. And we're going to take the included Teflon tape and wrap that around the threads to make sure we get a really watertight seal. So we'll do those. We'll link all those in the description so you can also access them. Make sure to cover anything while you're gluing so you don't get any of the glue anywhere. And then at the end, you'll need to get either a really large vice grip or this a pipe wrench, use oil filter wrench, a couple different things. And we're just going to go ahead and grab onto those couplings and these connections here and give them about a 1/4 turn past hand tight. Don't want to over tighten them, don't want to crack your plastic, but that'll get it nice and tight. So we'll go ahead and get this all glued together and then get into the wiring and show you how we can program this new variable speed pump. We're going to use a PVC glue and primer. Always do the first part first. So do this bottom part first and then do the top part. And then the last 2 things that you'll do will be these joins. So we'll go the screw on couplings there. So we'll go ahead and do the bottom, and then we'll do this piece, and then the last piece is we'll screw them together. So as I said, it comes with wire crimpers as well as electrical tape, and it tells you that the black wire is going to be for phase 1 because it's 220, the white for phase 2, or in the green for the ground, and the order of L1, the line 1, line 2, does not matter. So you have your wires here, and we're going to connect them into our junction box there and seal it up well with all of our tape. Also on the side, you have information on the pump, but more importantly, you have instructions for your bond wire, and you should have a bond wire somewhere around your pool pump that looks something like this, and that's going to be wired in here as an extra safety feature. So make sure you do that and follow all the instructions. If you're not comfortable with the wiring, you can always call an electrician to finish this part of it, but it should be pretty easy with everything that's supplied. All right, well, all of our plumbing is all done, and it has dried for a little while. We've also got our bonding wire wired in. We have all of our electrical connections done and fused up in a junction box back here. And now we're going to put on the cover that comes with this device that keeps it out of the rain. You lift this up to control it. Gives a nice finished look to this pump. Can't wait to turn it on and see how it functions. Let's go check it out. Okay, just fired her up, put her out on max RPMs, and we have no leaks. Put a bucket of water in there to prime it, so that's the only water you see, but everything is nice and sealed. Now let's get into programming. This is exciting. Okay, so just running through the settings. Right now it's turned off. On speed 1, we can press start. It's self-priming, and it's going to run, I think it's got to prime up first. So it's going to do a full prime, and then once it's done priming, it'll drop to speed 1. Okay, well now that it's all primed up, it's going to go ahead and drop to speed 1 at 1200 RPMs and only pulling 96 watts, which is, almost nothing. So this allows you to circulate that water through the pool while pulling very little wattage. And I'll show you what it looks like, but it's just a steady, slow stream out of the jets. So if you want to jump up from speed 1 to speed 2 on the presets, you can press speed 2. Speed 2 is going to be, let's see, it's at 2,000 RPMs and pulling about 300 watts. Now this is why these variable speed pumps are so energy efficient, because it's not going to pull the full wattage depending on how much you want to circulate the water. It's still very, very quiet. You wouldn't be able to hear this, more than a few feet away from here. Then speed 3 is going to be up at 3,200 RPMs. And now we're pulling 1,000 watts. So this is going to be something you're going to run stronger if you're running a poolside, pressure cleaner or something else, secondary auxiliary pump. You'd be running this, but not all day, probably only a few hours, a couple hours a day. And then speed 4, which is max. Now this is really strong. I don't think my old pump ever got up to 4,000 RPMs. And when we show you the water in the pool, you can see it's really rushing around there. This will clean the pool quickly. But this is going to pull a lot of wattage. So you wouldn't run it like this all day long unless you were trying to really clean it up after a heavy storm or something. Pause it. We'll get into the menu settings. And we'll show how to set up the time, the speeds, the schedules. You can go up to 4 schedules. Language, dry running, self-priming, everything like that. So let me get through this and get it set up for our schedule here. So in the speed section, you can actually adjust the RPMs. So instead of doing a 1200, we could go up to, let's say, 1700, which is I think what I want to do on my lower speed. And we can set speed 1 at 1750. So we're going to go ahead and set that for what we want. So we've gotten our time set, we've gotten the speed set, and now we're going to set the schedules. So for the first schedule, you see it says function. It's going to be enabled. We're going to schedule 1 to be enabled. We're going to say time on is going to be 6 a.m. It's in military time, so you can go ahead and set it at 0600. Time off. We're going to say 1500 or 3 o'clock because that's when we run all of our cleaning systems. And then lastly, we're going to do schedule 3. So we're not going to use the 4th schedule. And we're going to enable that. It's very intuitive. I'm just now checking this out. Okay, so one little trick. I have this big sand filter here. So because this runs on timers, you do have that self-priming adjustment. So I went ahead and set the self-priming at a strong flow at 3600. So now, if let's say you want to clean that sand filter, you could pause your operation from the 6 to 3 low on speed 1, but then when you press play again, it's going to go ahead and go up to that self-priming at that 3600 RPM. So you could use this as a way to flush your sand filter. What you could also do is you could adjust the amount of time. So if 2 minutes isn't enough, you could set it to run a primer for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and then it'll go right back to your normal system. So you can pause it and then press it. It'll always go back to that for if you need to service, some sort of sand filter. Well, we are all done, and I am super impressed with this Aqua Strong pump. It's running right now, and even me talking about a foot away from the motor, I'm sure you can hear me clearly. This thing is really quiet. I've been playing with it, turning it up and down, and it's got a lot of power. Actually got more power than the previous pump that we had. Install was not difficult. I am not a pool guy. I'm not a plumber. Just a basic how-to DIY teacher. And I will show you that this project here is something you can definitely accomplish. If I can do it, you can too. Don't be afraid of it. Plan out your plan a little bit. Make sure you get extra plumbing fittings. Figure out what you're going to do. It's now turning up to prime because it's time for our pressure side pump to start running. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more great pool tips and tricks. And like I said, I will link everything in the description. I'll link links to the Aqua Strong pump, as well as all the other tools and stuff that we used, so you can also have success. Don't be afraid to do it. I'm sure you can get it fixed, and if you can't, a pool guy will always come out and fix what you messed up. So I think you got it. But again, thanks for watching. Remember, if I can do it, you can too.